I definitely need a haircut, so I understand that. Sorry for the video and all that, but I'm kind of rocking the Johnny McDonald thing right now. Kind of. His hair was a little bit longer, but I'm kind of going for that bald triangle thing and like the long hair and the puffed out thing on the side. So I know I have to get a haircut. So that's in the works. So we'll just get that out of the way right now. But what I wanted to talk about today was basically this nebulous notion of privilege, and I'm pulling it from somewhere. I'm pulling it from an interview with an author called Phoebe Bovey, and she was a guest on the agenda with Steve Paikin. She basically talked about privilege as this nebulous sort of word or accusation. Citing the accusation, check your privilege or your privilege is showing. She basically cited in the accusee's eyes, the nebulous sort of futile sort of understanding of what privilege is. It's neither here nor there. It's kind of a vague thing to throw around. And when you talk about the dirty word intersectionality, you're talking about a number of different things that work in different ways, etc., etc. So it's a fairly I wouldn't say innocuous, but a fairly harmful thing to be throwing around all the time. Especially these days when everybody's going for the oppression Olympics and who's more oppressed, blah blah blah. It just adds fuel to the fire, I think. Now that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be healthy discussion around what privilege is, etc., etc. I mean, Phoebe Bovey talked about privilege as being a white male might be a little bit easy. You might have a little bit of an easier time in life than say a minority or something like that. So it does exist, but I think in what I wanted to say today was I think I have an example of where this privilege thing is kind of falsely thrown around. It might not be a direct example, but I definitely glean something from the issue I want to talk about when it comes to privilege, and it has to do with marriage equality or gay rights, etc., etc. Recently in Australia, I think you may have read the news, there's been an effort, plebiscite that was sent out or is going to be sent out concerning marriage equality for gay people. And there's been this right-wing backlash or this conservative backlash with all this literature being distributed with all these false statistics, like 71% of children of gay couples are depressed, and 91% of them are pedophiles, and just false accusations across the board. And I'd like to say that I think what's happening there is the notion of privilege is being played with. I think on the international stage, a lot of countries are noticing that other developed countries, especially developed countries, are bringing in marriage equality for gay people. And I don't think, as in the past, where people would consider being gay a bad thing, and they still do, but in the past where they would consider it sort of a hard position to take in life because you're gay, you're sort of like an underclass or whatever. I think in the contemporary world where gay rights are moving ahead in developed countries, etc., etc., people are getting the impression that being gay is somewhat of a privilege. Getting marriage equality for gay people is a privilege as opposed to an equal right. And I think it's kind of making itself known through people like Pat Robertson, who usually says things that being gay is inciting the wrath of God and blah blah blah. So I mean, there's this notion that because marriage equality is coming to the center stage, and because gay rights in general are coming to the center stage, that there's this notion of privilege that gay people have, when really it's just fighting for equal rights. So I think that's a thing that may not be directly observable, but I think that's kind of feeding into the whole privilege thing. People generally see, especially conservatives, see the gay rights thing as a privilege thing, and feel that we're getting a little bit too close in terms of having the upper hand, quote unquote upper hand in society. So that's essentially my video. That's all I wanted to say. Hopefully that makes sense. I think it does. I mean, it's not a direct example, but I think that's generally what's going on with the whole privilege thing. Anyway, that's it for now. Bye.